morning. So today I'm going to read a book to you. It is called Be the Change. And this is a story about Gandhi. This is Gandhi. He was a very peaceful man who worked for civil rights in India. So he did that by leading nonviolent protests. He didn't want people to get hurt. He didn't want to fight. He wanted people to be treated equally through fighting in peaceful ways. Okay? He is very famous now, and you might know some of his quotes, such as, "Be the change you would like to see in the world." So I'm going to read a book about him. This book was actually written by his grandson. So his grandson's a lot older now, but this was written by him. He's the author. So he's telling the story about his grandfather and growing up in his village and what he learned from his grandfather. Okay? So as I read this, I want you to think about the theme. What is the theme in Be the Change? So I was able to bring one of our anchor charts. Thinking about theme. The theme of a story is the message, lesson, or moral the author wants you to learn. Okay, so there's a lot of common themes that we've talked about before. Courage, perseverance, which means not giving up, honesty, good versus evil, kindness, acceptance, friendship, love. Okay, those are a couple key themes that we read about often. When you're thinking for the theme in Be the Change, I want you to ask yourself, what did the author want you to think about? And how did the characters change or grow? Okay, so his grandson, his name's Arun, he changes a lot in the story and he grows. So if you pay attention to this character here, it's going to help you figure out the theme that the author wants you to learn. And guess what? He is the author, so he wants you to learn the same lesson he learned from his grandfather. Okay, so as I read, think about what is the theme in Be the Change. Okay, Be the Change, a grandfather Gandhi story. And notice that he has a little pencil. Take the cover off. So it says, the world knows him as Mahatma, great soul. To me, he is grandfather. Life at the Sevagram Ashram, grandfather's service village, revolved around the sun. Before daybreak, we left our beds. All 350 followers gathered for morning prayer meeting. Peace descended on us like the rays of the sun. All religions were welcomed. The purpose of ashram life was to live simply and non-violently. So based on the prefixes we've talked about, non-violently, we know means not violently, no violence. Each day was filled from sunrise to sunset with service. The ashram worked as one, washing clothes, planting vegetables, picking fruit, spinning yarn. Anything that needed doing was done for the good of all. Grandfather had dubbed our work Experiments in Truth. There were 11 vows of ashram living. The one that I found hardest was the vow not to waste. So like our social contract is like a vow. We vow to follow it, to treat each other kindly, and all the things that we put on our social contract. That's what these vows are similar to. And it was an important one, a cornerstone of grandfather's teachings. I wasn't sure how not to waste food or other items made life nonviolent, but I did my best to follow the path put before me. Babushi said I would understand in time, but I had already lived at Sevagram for more than a year. Soon, grandfather asked that I accompany him to Pune. I was happy to get a break from ashram life, from waking early and working hard, but life at the Nature Cure Clinic Our routine was much the same vows, the same self discipline. When grandfather talked, thousands came, overflowing the gardens. People young and old spilled into the streets. So look at this illustration. Here's his grandfather Gandhi, and these are all people back here who come to listen to him. He was a very wise man and a very peaceful man, so people learned a lot from him. I stood with them and listened as he spoke about Satyagraha, passive nonviolence. When nonviolence is accepted as the law of life, it must pervade the whole being and not be applied to the isolated acts, Babushi said. How was I to understand that? It hurt my head to even think about. Yet when grandfather spoke, something in me stilled, even if afterward my thoughts grew cloudy. So here's his grandson, Arun. How's he looking like he feels right now? He's a little confused. He has lots of questions for his grandfather. One afternoon on my way home from lessons, I'd had enough. As I walked, I tossed my nubby pencil in the air, tired of my vow to not waste, tired of not understanding it. It bounced into the grass. I left it there, on purpose. I want you to think of some text-to-self connections. Or maybe when you've left some pencils on the ground and at the end of the day, we're always picking them up. Maybe you can think about that. That evening, I asked Babushi for a new pencil. This morning you had one that appeared to be perfectly good pencil, grandfather said. It was too small. I threw it away, I argued. I didn't share what I was really thinking. I was a Gandhi. Didn't I deserve a new pencil? It was not too small for this morning, grandfather smiled, his toothless grin. And what of your vow? The one not to waste? I stared at my sandaled feet. A vow is a promise to yourself before it is one to others. Why is a nubby pencil so important? I asked. It is not the pencil, but you that is important. Babushi patted my shoulder. Babushi was talking in riddles. Why wasn't there a simple explanation? He walked me to the door. You will have to go and look for it. Would I really have to search for the nub of a pencil? But it's after dusk, I said. Good thinking, Arun. You will need a torch. He handed me a flashlight and pointed me towards the night. So a nub of a pencil is a very small end of a pencil. I set off into the dark. My face burned with shame. Grandfather had already taught me so much, and here I had more to learn. I was a disappointment to him and to myself. I retraced my steps, past the bench with the broken leg, past a pack of stray dogs. I stopped when I came to the scrubby grass that I had cut across the hours earlier. Kneeling down, I ran my fingers through the coarse stalks. Nothing. Above, the stars seemed to mock me. Find it, they twinkled, taunting. Finally, after hours of searching, I found it. I stuffed the pencil in my pocket, and I trudged back to grandfather's cottage. Look at his face in the stars. Did you recover the pencil? Babushi asked when I returned. I had, but I still hadn't discovered what waste and nonviolence had to do with each other, or what they had to do with me. That night I wrestled with my thoughts. How could throwing away a pencil hurt anyone? It made no sense. Why couldn't I understand? Wrestled with my thoughts is an idiom. What does that mean if you wrestle with your thoughts? It means that you probably can't fall asleep because you are thinking over and over again and your thoughts are keeping you awake. We returned to Sevagram. Their grandfather set out to teach me the deeper meaning of the rule not to waste, just as monsoon season had come. The skies erupted. For days on end, the rains beat the dry, cracked ground. The earth became messy and muddy as I struggled with how waste and violence were connected. So monsoon means it's raining, raining, raining. Grandfather sat with me for an hour a day, as busy as he was. Waste is a violent action. When resources are low, people hoard. Those who are forced to do it without may eventually strike out. Fighting occurs, he said. Did you want any of that when you threw away your pencil? I didn't. Is this why we spun? Why we made our own cloth? So they make their own clothing as well. Grandfather suggested that I make a tree of violence, with violence as the trunk and physical violence and passive violence, the kind that looks like it hurts no one, as the branches. So physical violence is when you physically hurt somebody's body or somebody's hurting. They can feel it. Passive violence is the kind that looks like it hurts no one, looks like it doesn't affect anyone, but it does. So you like when you hurt someone's feelings and you can't see that they're physically injured, but they feel hurt, that is passive violence. So he made branches, passive and physical violence. Before you act, think how it would affect others, he said. Who would it hurt? Someone else? The earth? You? Does hurting the earth hurt us? Together we created a tree and pasted it on the wall. Each day I added my thoughts and actions to it. So for his passive, some of his say like eating more than my share, throwing away the pencil, bullying, wasting food, name calling. And then on the physical side, it says kicking, pushing. Those are physical violences. And look at his tree. So here's the trunk of violence. This is all physical on that side, pretty small. This is all passive violence. All his sticky notes he put up there. Grandfather would come by my hut and he'd watch my tree grow. When I wasn't sure where to place something, he helped me decide if the thought or action was passive violence or physical violence. As the monsoon rains renewed the earth, my tree grew and grew. Both branches were heavy with leaves, but the passive side became enormous. Soon I could see how throwing away my pencil could hurt others. More graphite would need to be mined for a new pencil. Trees would be cut down. Land would be stripped bare. Villages would be lost. Were my wants, like the one for a new pencil, more important than the needs of others? I saw how kicking and shoving led to rioting. So rioting are big fights. I saw how violence led to more violence. How wars led to more wars. Like the soaking rains that turned the musty earth lush and green, new growth finally sprouted within me. I was responsible for my every thought and action, yes, but I was also responsible for the thoughts and actions of the world. To change the world, I needed to change myself. I'm going to read that again. To change the world, I needed to change myself. As the rains trickled to an end and the sun returned, Grandfather took my hand. We walked amid the hustle of ashram life, new plantings and chores, prayers, and work. Beautiful. Grandfather had a saying. He has said it to many and more, and now he has said it to me. Be the change you wish to see in the world, Arun. And with grandfather as an example of being the change for himself and for others, I would. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Okay, that is the end. And I'm going to read this pledge to you. You can think about this. It's the Be the Change pledge. I pledge, sorry, I need to make sure that my video is still recording. I pledge to dig deep to understand passive violence, to find the roots of my thoughts and my actions. I pledge to not overuse resources, to focus on my needs over my wants. I pledge to learn to work with others as one for the good of all. I pledge to be the change I wish to see in the world. So working together, not overusing resources, not taking more than what you need, and only focusing on what you need, not what you want, right? And understanding passive violence. Okay, so the theme I want you to think about, was it one of these themes about courage, perseverance, honesty, good versus evil, kindness, acceptance, friendship, or love? Or maybe it was something not on our list. Okay, so think, how did Arun change and grow in the story? That's going to help you determine the theme that the author wanted you to learn from this book. Okay, and what did the author want you to think about? There were several really good quotes in there that might help you determine that, okay? So I want you to think about what the theme is, and I want you to do some reading to self today, okay? I will see you guys on Monday. Our schedule is going to look a little different. We're going to have more structure, but we will talk about that then, okay? All right, goodbye, guys.